Yo, what is going on guys, it's Kryptic TMG and we're back with a brand new video, and this time it's the penultimate round of the AOR GT3 Elite Championship and we're at Sugo. This is a track I really do like, and in practice I did seem to hold just a small slight pace advantage, so I was looking forward to this race. Obviously I knew it was going to be tough. Championship battle has started to whittle down just a little bit with CJ having a few incidents in the last couple of races, so yeah, hopefully we can take more points out of him and see what we can do for the championship. I believe at the time of this race it was maybe 20 odd or almost 30 points difference I was behind, but obviously we're just trying to cut the gap as much as we can. But let's go into qualifying and see how I managed to do. So we managed to get pole position even though the lap was pretty sloppy. I wasn't too happy with the lap. It was about 4 tenths off of where I thought I should be, but managed to still stick it on pole. And obviously for the race it's actually going to be wet, so Sugo in the wet at night definitely is a pretty tricky combination. And luckily for us, we didn't really seem to be getting the puddles like we've got at like Rapuna and stuff like that. The track seemed to just stay wet but without any sort of major puddles, so yeah, not too bad. And now we're on the grid for the start of the race. You see the brakes cooling down, and that is just one of the main problems when you're doing your out lap for AOR. When you're doing your out lap or your formation lap, the brakes really do cool down. You really got to work hard on keeping the brakes hot. But I managed to get a good jump off the start. Carl in second place, and I think at this point we've now actually become teammates. So me and Carl were now teammates this season, and you can see going into turn 1, the car was just so hard to slow it down, so I broke really early, and you see cars all over us at the start, but I thought I'd be able to sort of pull away a little bit. As in practice, as I said, we seem to hold a small pace advantage over the other guys, but yeah, at the start of the race I was trying to take it easy, thinking that the car would just come to me, but to be honest, the grip levels just, for me, just didn't really feel, I didn't really feel like I could push the car into corners because it was very sketchy, and I sort of, a lot of the time with my setups, I noticed sort of 4 or 5 laps in, that's probably where my setups tend to be at its best. And you see there as we go into that right hander, the car just completely snapped sideways, and I've sort of got a stamp on the brakes just to stop me from spinning, and I was just like, wow, I wasn't expecting that. I knew in the first few laps there was a little bit of understeer with the rain and stuff like that, but it tended to get better on lap 3, so I was just waiting to see if the car would get better or whether it was just, this is what I had to deal with. But CJ down in 5th place, us currently winning the race, that's some good points for the championship, and obviously we've got the extra point for pole position, so yeah, it was just about trying to get our heads down now and trying to see what we can do. But going to turn one, honestly, the car just would not stop for me. Would not stop for me at all. And I had my brake pressure pretty low for this one, because obviously I knew with the rain you don't want your brake pressure super high, so you hit the brakes and just lock up and go straight off. But you can see the car is just not gripping into any of the corners whatsoever. And when we did do a few practice races, it was bad on the first lap or two, but it was just, in the race, it was just well worse. I just couldn't even explain it. I was like, why would this car not brake? Why would this car not brake? And you can see Carl, he's all over us. We weren't running the same setup. I was probably running less downforce, I think, than Carl. But you can see under braking, I'm having to sort of brake in stages because the car just won't slow down, and I just couldn't carry any apex speed whatsoever. The only corner that I felt I was doing pretty good and was gaining a bit of time was the last corner. Other than that, I felt I was braking early everywhere, and I just could not get the nose turned into any apexes whatsoever. And you can see on the last corner, we take a wide line and cut back in, and I think in the rain, I think it was a little bit faster to take that line. You just got out of the corner so much faster, and yeah, it sort of killed the understeer you get in the middle of the corner when you try to hold a tight line. Normally in the dry you would definitely try and hold a tight line, but in the wet for some reason I think the wider line was a little bit faster. But moving on to the start of lap 6, you can see we've built just a little gap to Carl, but he's still there. Also Scold is not too far behind Carl as well, holding on, and CJ's still down in 5th position, so we're doing what we need to do. Looking at the tyre wear, I'm thinking, tyres are going down pretty quick, and it's only the 6th lap of 45, so this might be one of the first normal length races where you might have to change tyres, because obviously obviously in some of the 90-minute races that we've done this season, the reverse grid, some people have changed tyres. I haven't, but I think this was probably going to be the first time, well, not the first time, I believe. What other track did we change tyres at? It must have been another wet dry sort of transition. Donington, where actually I didn't change tyres and I should have. But yeah, this is one of the first tracks we've done where we'd have to change tyres out of pure tyre wear. I don't know what it is about this track, but maybe these tracking conditions just made it super tough on the tyres, and we really were like pushing it through some of the corners. You can see Scold there also catching up with us at the moment, and yeah, it was going to be a tough race because Carl was behind me, and obviously he wasn't trying to get too involved in the championship, but at the same time he was able to keep up with us all the time. You can see going on to the start of lap 9, Carl right behind us. Scold has sort of caught up to Carl as well, so definitely the pace that I was possessing definitely from practice just was not there, and I thought, wow, if I can't sort of pull away how I was in practice, then I'm just going to try and conserve my tyres, and hopefully I can just save that tyre change instead. And you can see me taking it really careful into the corners, because I could see we were sort of getting away from the rest of the field. It was sort of just, let's see if we can play this by ear and just try and save that pit stop, and we'll see how long we can keep going. But if the car just got undrivable, then obviously we'll just have to change tyres. If I saw I was losing over a second a lap, then I'll just change the tyres. But yeah, other than that, the race was going okay. Definitely didn't have the comfort zone I thought would have been possible, but at the same time you can see the car is just not underneath me at all, hitting the brakes and just nothing's happening. And as I said, as you've seen in a load of my videos before, it's very confusing to me. But you can see now under pressure from Carl, and Scold right up behind Carl, and you know how fast the Porsche is in the wet. It is definitely one of the better cars in the wet because of the traction, and the fact that it is a rear engine car. So for me now, I was just thinking, look, I just need to just get in a rhythm, and if I can get in a rhythm I should be fine. But I just could not get slowed down for the first corner. You can see Carl was having to avoid us because he's managing to brake late and get the car slowed down. I'm braking early and still going straight off the track. So yeah, definitely a very difficult one. But you can see now lap 13 we've actually opened up a decent sized gap. I think Carl made a mistake behind us and actually managed to open up a decent sized gap, but you look at the tyres and you can just tell already that I'm going to need a pit stop. I'm definitely going to need a pit stop. And if you look down in the bottom left hand corner, you can see CJ's name has actually disappeared, and it's not because he pitted, he actually made a mistake and he spun. So right now for the championship this is perfect. CJ spun, I think he was towards the back of the field, I'm pretty sure. So this has put us again in a great position to take some serious points out of CJ, like we did at Catalunya, which pretty much brought the championship back to a point where it was reachable again, because previously CJ had won sort of the first 5 races. So now we're in a position where we really can take a load of points out of CJ. And yeah, this is a point I was thinking, even if I don't win this race, I've got to sort of make sure I bring it home, make sure I at least get second or something like that. But at the moment when you're leading, all you're focused on doing is just winning the race and just not making any mistakes. And I did at least feel like I wouldn't make any mistakes on this track. It's one of the first tracks I tried on PCARS 1 when it first, sorry, PCARS 2 when it first came out. It's one of the first tracks that I really enjoyed and actually had a race on. So yeah, I'm pretty comfortable with the track. I didn't really see anywhere where I would end up binning it, thankfully. But as you can see now, a few laps later, Carl, Skoll, they've caught us straight back up, and every time I thought I could start to gap him, it just wasn't happening. So I knew I was definitely in for a race, and the strategy was going to be really important. So I didn't want them to pit before me, change the tyres, because then they would get the undercut and there'd just be nothing I could do. But then I didn't want to pit first and then change my tyres, and then they don't change their tyres, and me not knowing if that was the right or wrong decision. But you can see Carl right up behind us now. Every corner he just way faster through the corner, way faster on entry. So yeah, it was just literally a struggle at this point. I was losing grip as well, with a little bit of tyre wear for some reason. Like, normally a little bit of tyre wear is not a problem, but I could feel the grip just going, and I wasn't carrying any sort of speed through the corners. You can see how much faster Carl enters the corner, and even on the exit I'm squirming away, and Carl's just getting in our slipstream now. And yeah, it just every time they got close to me it just became real tough. But I was just trying to just push on, but you can see in the corners that the car is just sideways all the time, and obviously with the tyre wear you don't want to be getting your car sideways, you don't want to be sliding. And I knew as long as I get the last corner right, I can maybe always have a decent sized gap going down that straight. But if Carl starts to clock on to how I'm taking the corner, you can already see he starts to take a bit more of a wide entry, so he started to clock on a little bit more how we're taking the corner, and it's not going to give us that sort of that space we need to pull away. So it was the whole first sector really where I was struggling. So if Carl managed to keep up with me in the third sector, he's going to have a very good chance to pass me, either on the start finish straight or down the back straight. But obviously this is one of them tracks that's a lot harder to pass on, especially if you put your car in the right places. But you can see Carl and Skoll keeping up with me, no bother at all, not a problem. So for me now, I was thinking, well, looking at the mini-map, I'm actually not pulling away from anybody in the top 6, I don't think. So the pace was definitely slow, and I was definitely thinking I'm definitely going to have to make this pit stop. And look at Carl, this is as close as he's been out of this corner, and he manages to get into our slipstream now. So I'm thinking if he tries to move, I'm going to make him go around the outside, because it's going to be a pretty hard job getting around there. But Carl brakes so late, well, we brake so early, we surprise him, and he has to sort of throw it to the grass so he doesn't take us out, and he ends up crashing and getting some major damage, and that promotes Skoll into second, who's just been sitting there quietly, easily keeping up with us. So yeah, it was just one of the races. So going through the last corner, still leading the race, and yeah, it's just really tough to pull away. Managed to get a little bit of a pull coming out of that corner. It seems that line definitely for the last corner in the wet was definitely faster, because that was literally the only thing keeping everybody away. But fast forward onto lap 18 now, going through the last corner again, you see Skoll just hanging on to us, just literally waiting for a mistake or opportunity to take the lead, or waiting for me to pit maybe. But as we come around the last corner, yes, we get hit with the classic T300 project cars glitch where it just I don't know, it's like a button glitch. It just seems to press a load of buttons for some reason, and it just presses the pause button while I'm going around the last corner, and I flicked it off as fast as I could, but I just did not have the time to react. And yeah, that was pretty much us in the wall. You can see me trying to change my strategy as fast as I can as I go into the pit lane, losing so much time. And yeah, while this is going on, I still don't believe we've lost the position to CJ, but as you can see, we've got so much damage at the moment, and I was expecting to be in the pits for quite a long time. And this is what I mean, at the time I didn't even know. As we tried to slow down, the car just doesn't even stop, and I was just like, what is going on? What the hell is going on? But I didn't change tyres because I was so focused on trying to get the car fixed, and that was it. So I came out of that thinking, yep, the car's all good, and then I looked down at the bottom left. I'm like, wow, I've still got the suspension damage, and I thought, you know what, this is just gone from bad to worse. And you can see CJ was in 11th place. He was in 11th place, so imagine if we managed to sort of stay in the lead of the race, or even in the top two. It would have been a massive amount of points I would have taken out of him, because at the moment I don't even think he's in the points. Is he? I'm not too sure if they give points all the way down to 16th. I can't remember, maybe they do, but yeah, what was looking to be a good result has really just turned on its head. And I mean, I'm not sure, I'm pretty sure I set it to fix the damage. I'm not sure if I set it to fix the aero damage or what, but yeah, pitted to fix the damage, and the suspension was just terrible. When at this point I knew the race was over. I knew that I'm pretty much going to be last place. I think Carl actually quit, so yeah, I'm last but one, I believe, or last but two. I think Prenta was also having a bad race. No, Prenta was up in second place, sorry. So it was crazy. It was a very crazy race, and to be honest, I didn't even know what to do. The way I was thinking right now is there even any point in finishing this race, because it's just pointless. I'm probably going to end up being a lap down. And you can see this glitch that happens. It seems to turn off your automatic clutch. It just wreaks havoc with your buttons for some reason. And as we come into the pit lane, I'm trying to slow the car down, and yeah, that just happened. And I don't know, it was literally a nightmare race. And you can see at the time CJ was down in 11th place, and we got disqualified, so that was a massive blow to us, and that's how the race ended up finishing. CJ came back for 6th position, and I think Prenta did have some sort of incident near the end, so he ended up all the way down in 10th. So what a crazy race that was, and all the guys you thought that would probably be fighting for the win ended up just nowhere near the front. And Skuld managed to take a very good victory, but yeah, that was pretty much the penultimate round. That actually handed CJ the championship, so yeah, very disappointing, but what could we do? But anyway, it's Kryptic TMG. Like and subscribe, hit the notification bell to catch my videos first, and peace.